Cool. I have 5 slides, so I might ramble a bit, but please shout if you have any questions. I'm going to start with a bit of audience participation, because everyone loves that, or they don't. So, who here uses analytics in any way possible? Okay. And who here does attribution? And who here changes stuff in their business because of attribution? Cool. Yeah. Exactly, which is why I'm here. My email address and stuff is at the end. But I work for a company called Deliver Insights, my company, and I started it because of exactly what just happened there. No one really understands attribution, and a lot of people don't do analytics properly in a business. And by that I mean they make decisions off the back of data to drive a change in their business. A lot of people use analytics to prove what they've done historically and say this has worked or this hasn't. And what you end up is in a meeting where someone has gone to that number is higher than that number, and therefore things are great. And everyone walks out of that meeting and things were great last week. And then the following week, you're comparing week on week and you're down, and everyone's, oh no, let's go and spend 3 days looking at what happened and why we were down week on week. And we're not actually making any difference to what you're actually going to do. So that's why I started that company, and a lot of the work I do with businesses is on attribution. It's mainly the larger businesses, and that's typically because my day rate's quite high. But it's actually a massive issue in this marketplace, and it covers PR, but it's not limited to any one channel. Attribution only really works when you have a full visibility of all the channels. And then that separates the digital world from the offline world and the above the line activity. And when you can combine both of them, you get a form of understanding that really isn't seen in the marketplace. Now, these slides were slide sharey, so they've got a lot of words on, but I'm just going to kind of ramble a bit about each one of these. So, you will go and speak to the analytics providers. I'm trying not to say names because I don't want to mix anyone out or say bad things about them, but the majority of analytics providers will say we do media mix modeling, and by that they mean we will help you understand the distribution between all the different channels that you currently play in. So currently on a last click basis, so the last touch point that a person has with you, 20% is PPC, 40% is SEO, we've got some email here, we've got some PR, depending on what your analytics solution has. And they'll give you a better understanding of the true impact over multiple touch points. That is attribution, but it's not what attribution can do. Then they'll go, it's about budget distribution. And we're just saying exactly the question you were just asking is the budget that you put into PPC, and you've got a tiny budget for SEO because it's the agency cost or the in-house staff. You've then got some email marketing budget, you've got display budget, and then it's actually, where should I put my money? Because where am I getting the best impact when we are making revenue as a business? And attribution does that, but that's not what it does on its own. And then you've got this word called econometrics modeling. Who here has done econometrics? Fantastic, I want to hire you. I do, because hardly anyone does, and it's a real cool way of understanding a overlaid impact on top of marketing. So what you have in your analytics tools that sit there at the moment, you have the way that things you can track and how you impact people. But when you say, okay, how does TV advertising impact your online presence? People are like, well, people come to our website when they see the meerkat on the TV. And you're like, yeah, but was it that person who typed in compare the meerkat, or were they doing that anyway because it was that time of night and they were just looking for car insurance? So econometrics helps you understand a overlaid view and impact, and that goes down to postcode level. We can find out how impactful a TV advertising campaign, a banner ad, or outside a bus driving round based on its journey. We can get down to that granularity when we use econometrics. But that's not what attribution is. Attribution is all of these. But attribution really is great when you start talking about how people can understand more about your consumers and the way that consumers interact with your brand. It's not just about sales, it's not just about all the things that we can do with these media mix modeling, etc. Now this is what the tools sell, because this is where the market is at the moment. People are going into these, having these conversations, and they're talking about these things. The market will be here in a year's time, I hope, because that's what I'm betting my career on. But this is what they're talking about at the moment. So this isn't wrong, but that's where the market is talking about. You'll see this. This is a screenshot of what you can get in Google Analytics. You've got last click advertising, first click, distributed, bathtub, time decay. There are different types of models. And in Google Analytics, you go and click one of those and you can change your attribution model. This is bullshit. Okay? None of these are right at all. Google is fooling people because as soon as you change from last click to anything else, what you're doing is you're saying, I think that the first touch point is more important than anything else because I know more about my business than how the consumers actually work with us. And then you go, well, actually, what I do is, this is what I call the parent model, the distributed model, is that you've got 3 kids, so what we're going to do is we'll give them all the equal share, because that's exactly how consumers interact with you as a brand. I go and see a TV advert, and then I come onto your website, and then I type in a PPC thing, and I do an email. All of them, they're equally valuable to everything I want to know. That doesn't work. That TV advertising drove some form of awareness. If you didn't know about that brand, that's a massive impact into that sale. But if you did know about that brand because you've been to their website before, that's a very small impact. So actually understanding the true impact of that. And the reason why I call all of these bullshit is you don't know. No marketer can know how consumers actually truly engage with them. So the only way, in my opinion, because I have to say this because I get shot down by all of the providers, bar the ones that I like, is where it's algorithmically calculated. And the tools do this, but they don't like selling it because it means that they don't have to do anything. Which is crazy. They love you playing with their tool. They love you interacting with it and moving the little dials, and we're going to move some near the end. And if it's PPC, it's really important because they're the ones that shout in the meetings because they've got a big budget. What we end up with is this world where people are playing with these models and they're not actually worrying about what we can do with attribution at the end of it. So what we need to do is remove all of that, have an algorithmic calculated model that understands the impact of each one of these touch points. Another bugbear of mine, this is basically me 5 slides of moaning, but another bugbear of mine is that companies spend so much money on technology and then they don't have anyone looking at it. It's ridiculous. If you go through, if you're running a small business and you put all your tools on a credit card, no one looks at that credit card statement until they start running out of money. So while everything's going well, oh, we've got all these tools, they show reports, we've got printouts, we've got emails. No one actually looks at it and goes, I'm going to go do something different today because of these numbers. What you need to do is split the business and split the way you use tools this way. 20% of your time and effort and budget in the business goes towards technology. 80% goes towards people. Full stop. It's the classic 80-20. I know, I'm just stealing everyone else's work. But then you split that 80% of people into dirt and clouds. And I'm conscious of calling people dirt, but they're the people who get nitty-gritty into the data and make sure that the data you're getting back in this technology is working. Because you can make decisions off that data, but if it's bollocks, it's not going to actually, you're going to make really crap decisions. So what you need to do is have 20% of people making sure you've got data integrity. You've got things that you truly can make decisions off. And then you've got people who sit and think in the clouds, those thinkers, those dreamers, as Steve Jobs would say, that will help you make decisions. They'll come up with questions that you're not asking. And this is a massive problem in analytics and understanding any form of media, is that they're used to answering the questions that the CEO poses. Like, how are we doing this week? What kind of question is that? You can answer that question and it's, well, this is this week and we'll pick something to compare it against, and that's what the conversion rate is what we're going to. That doesn't work. You need to be asking questions. You need to be going to the CEO, this is what happened. Is this because of these changes you've made previously? If that's the question you're asking them, then you're going to get much better questions back. And that's a massive issue that we see with this. And then we get, within analytics and attribution, I sort of went to this earlier, the biggest issue is psychological, not technical. We've got this worry in the industry that there was always a tool to solve these issues. And if I've got this tool, this will mean that I've got more data, and more data means that I will ultimately earn more money because I will have more data to prove what I'm doing works. What we need to do is change mindsets in business. As you were saying, like, you changed the way that the CEO was viewing things to make sure that you were going down the right line. people need to focus on changing mindsets within business. It's focusing on the wrong things. And this is massively important in attribution. Like, it's not just about moving money around in a business. Ultimately, a budget has been spent historically, and no matter what channel you put it in, someone at a certain level will still be spending the same amount of budget. It will just be different people they're giving it to. And you'll have exactly the same amount of revenue. You've not made more money just because you've switched it between PPC and display and PR. So what you end up with is this world where we need to move from counting visits and worrying about the fluffy metrics, going more into visitor volume, cost per sale, cost per acquisition. We're actually going to end up with talking about customer lifetime value. And there's a lot of brands that say they do that, but they do that in such a small data set that they don't actually see the bigger picture. The lifetime value of a customer isn't just the amount of times that the average person sales in a business. So I apologize, I'm going to use your company as an example, but the amount of monthly subscriptions that someone has on average might be 3 years, I don't know. So we're looking at that times the average, oh, probably not then. Okay, well, it might be in the future. But you work out the average monthly revenue that someone would generate that business, and that's their lifetime value minus the average cost of acquiring that customer. And you'll add on some customer acquisition costs, etc. That's not what this is. This is the true value across that entire life cycle. So it's from pre-acquisition through to the amount of times that their phone breaks and they have to call the call center, through to they rang up and they said, I'm going to cancel even though they weren't because they wanted a better deal on their mobile. And then they went through and that entire cost over many years is what that customer true life value is. And if you understand that when you're acquiring a customer, when that person is initially engaging with you, or when you're going to put TV advertising out to go in for a new audience that you typically aren't going for, that's when you can start to go, I can spend 15% more if that's the female demographic in the north of England. And that from a TV advertising is exciting. When it comes to content that really, like content with cats in really works with this particular type of demographic, that is when you can start to change the way you acquire customers because you know that they're more valuable in the future. I've kind of covered this already because I've been rambling about stuff, but the coolest thing with analytics that's going to be coming up is when you start to integrate other data sets in here. And I've covered this in the bottom section here, but this isn't really being done at the moment. And I say this very blanketly because I've worked with a bunch of massive corporations. Some small companies are probably doing it, but at the scale of a company like 3, where you can overlay your CRM data with your digital data, with your offline marketing data, and start to understand customers who follow this exact profile, which there's 10,000 of them all over the UK, we acquire through this particular type of media mix. And the reason why we know that is because we've aligned all of the different types of interaction types that we have pre and post sale against our acquisition strategy. So the people who never ring up and complain, there's some form of correlation of demographics here, and we're able to acquire less of those, or more of those people. The people who always cancel after 12 months, we can pull them out. That's the last slide anyway. There you go.
Thank you, Russell.